Episode 17, Pricing. How to charge when in charge. Hi, I'm Jade.
And I'm Ellie.
And this is Really Fucking Trying.
A podcast where we talk about the ins and outs and ups and downs of running a small business and being creative.
Today, we're talking about money, or more specifically, a topic that can be a bit of a taboo in the small biz world, pricing.
We hope that we can give some good advice today. We know that this is one that a lot more experienced people even still might struggle with or have had to alter over the years. And it seems to be quite a common question from the newbies as well, which
a lot
is
of our
fair
listeners
enough.
have said, please will you talk about pricing?
Yeah, it's been quite the requested topic.
Obviously, it's different for every business, it's different for every person, it's different for every product even. So we're just going to give you the tips that we've found over the years.
What works for us,
What
really.
works for us, what might work for you. It's trial and error, but we're going to tell you what we know, what we don't know, what has worked and what hasn't worked. And hopefully it'll be a little bit helpful maybe. We're also joined by Rachel from Pens and Needles. So Rachel, do you want to say hi? Do you want to tell everyone a bit about your business, about yourself?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Rachel. I am the owner of Pens and Needles and I make hand-embroidered baby clothes and accessories. I started my small business when I was on maternity leave with my son in 2023, and it started by me just literally making a jumper for him.
Oh.
And then we were going to playgroups and stuff. And then I just made them for all the babies at playgroup, all our little friends. And it literally grew legs from this small hobby. And then now here we are. Spent my first year doing as many markets as I possibly could in that year. And now I mainly sell online. And I've got my little shop, which I opened at the Barnyards at Widnes.
What a cute way to start business as well.
I know,
That's so
it's a proper
lovely.
little love story in a way, isn't it?
Aww. So how long ago was that you had your child?
So he was born in August 23 and the first jumper I made was in November 23.
Oh, wow.
I know. Feels like 10 years ago
Yeah.
now. But yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So where can people find you on the internet, please, Rachel?
So I started off mainly with an Instagram account and I was mainly selling through DM as well as at markets.
Right.
Then I found that I'd built kind of like a bigger following from markets and people telling other people about me, and you know what's like, babies are just born left, right and centre and everyone knows someone having a baby. So then I thought, actually, I probably need to get myself a website, and that's worked really well for me because that's taken away the time that I'm having to spend on Instagram replying to messages because people can just go online and order. So I now get the majority of my sales through my website.
Oh, amazing.
I know, so it's all
That's
working
hard
out.
to do as well,
Yeah,
go
it
from
is.
direct to DM straight to a website. That's very rare that you hear that. Usually there's an Etsy stopgap
Yeah.
somewhere in the middle
Yeah.
there. But that's really good.
Etsy scared me though because I've seen online everybody complaining about the Etsy
Yeah.
prices, and I was like, I don't want anyone else to take a cut of what I'm.
Yeah.
What
No, yeah.
is quite a small initially profit margin anyway, and for Etsy to take another cut, it's something else you've got to take into consideration, isn't it? And then boost your prices to cover that cost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The things that you make are very time consuming, I imagine.
Yes,
So again, you can't take away the value of that
exactly.
by giving some to Etsy.
Exactly.
Etsy have done nothing.
Yeah, exactly, and that's it. So I kind of then just put my website up, which is through Shopify, which was an absolute nightmare to set up initially. I don't know whether you guys have got a Shopify-led one.
I haven't got a shop. I use Wix for my website, but that was a nightmare as well.
I had to watch about 3 hours a night of YouTube tutorials to be like, how the hell do I get this on there?
I've looked into it before and I've just gone, no. After 5 minutes of watching it, they clicked a button, I don't like it now.
Exactly, and that's it. It did take some time to like teach myself because I'm not techie whatsoever, but it's now worth it because I get loads of my time back.
Yeah.
What time I have,
Yeah.
I get a little bit of time back anyway because it's sorted itself out. But yeah, sell mostly now through the website, but try and direct traffic to the website through Instagram and TikTok now.
Oh, amazing.
I think the reason we wanted you for this episode as well, because our work is largely reproduction. So yes, it's artwork we produced, but we can reproduce that so many times and sell it X amount of times. You know, there's no limit on that. Whereas you make something, you've sold it.
It's gone.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it,
So we wanted somebody who does something a little bit differently to us because it's you need to cover all angles when you talk about a topic like this.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
to get started, we are throwing ourselves in at the deep end here. Should we talk about how we work out our costs? Just FYI, guys, no one needs to reveal their profit margins.
Okay.
Don't give away your trade secrets.
All right, I'll go first if you don't mind. So honestly, I didn't do this right at all for the longest time. And to be fair, I'm not actually sure I do it right now either, if I'm honest. When I started, I was like eyeballing it. Like, how much do you think I should charge for that? Oh yeah, I'll go with that then. Do you know what I mean? I didn't work. I didn't do any, there was no maths behind it whatsoever, which is not how you run a business. That's how you run a hobby.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, though. I think everybody starts like that.
Yeah.
Because you don't start it with a business head, you start it with a creator
Yeah,
head.
you think, oh, I like making this thing. I hope someone buys it.
Yeah.
Even if they buy it for like a penny, that's great because they own it now. So I think, especially when you're starting out, you kind of undervalue yourself, don't you? And you think,
100%.
oh, well, I've made that, so it can't be worth that much, but it is. You've made it. It is. So when I went and started doing the business properly full time, but before I opened the shop, my rule of thumb was kind of double the cost. And that was the price. So I wasn't like taking my time into it or anything. I was just like, if that's cost me £1 to make, I'm going to sell it for £2. No matter if it took me like 12 hours to make, no matter if it took me 12 weeks to make. That was what I stuck by. But I think time is a massive thing that you need to account for, and I wasn't. But I didn't feel like it was fair of me to add my time in because technically, because I was working full-time self-employed, I could work 24/7 if I wanted to. So I didn't think my time was very valuable, but it is, even though in my eyes I had endless amounts of time. And I know that that's ridiculous, but I felt like I couldn't justify charging for my time. But now that I've got the shop and I don't have unlimited time anymore because I've got essentially like, it's the same as having a full-time job pretty much, isn't it? So now that I don't have unlimited time anymore, it's made me realise how valuable that my time is. So I've started reassessing my pricing. But even that in itself is such a big job because now I've got to, I'm halfway through like doing all the maths of it, and then I've got to do all the stickers and all that kind of shit. But I'm halfway through kind of doing that. But now what I'm doing is I'm doing the time it takes plus the cost doubled equals the price. Which again, I don't know if that's right. I've no idea.
I don't think there is a right or wrong though, and we'll go into that a little bit later
Yeah.
as well. I find it hard to charge for my time. The only time when I feel that that's applicable for me is when I'm doing commissions. So that's a one-off drawing for a specific person that, you know, I'm selling an original. But anything else, you know, as soon as I've scanned that drawing in, that can be turned into anything. It, you know, it'll live on basically. That scan is it. So no matter whether the drawing itself has took me 1 hour to draw or 20 hours to draw, I don't feel like I can account for that in my cost because there's an unlimited amount of times I can sell that on. If I was doing like a limit run of like 20 prints, I might go, oh, do you know what, I will have to incorporate for my time.
But the thing is, for you, say you spent 20 hours drawing a portrait and then you make that portrait into a key ring. That key ring hasn't took you 20 hours.
No, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I get what you mean by that.
I mean, no, I don't. So I don't charge for the time of the drawing, and also they vary as well. So I don't think it would be fair to sell the same print with two separate prices. Going, well, that one took me fucking years, and that one was quite easy but easy. So you know, it wouldn't make any sense. I do think though, I think it's because my dad ran a business as well that he was very head screwed on. So I had that business knowledge. I was interested in business anyway, but I think, you know, you said about going from a creative head into a business head. I feel like he already had that and was very much drilling that into me before I started this. So I knew from him and his sort of almost lectures, but I'm glad he did now, going, you need to count up your unit cost. So whatever it is, if you sell a print on Etsy, down to the cardboard it's backed in, down to the cellophane it's wrapped in, down to your thank you note, down, he said, to the, you know, the label that you write the address on. He said unit cost for all of it. So I did it all and he put it into a spreadsheet because, as we know from previous episodes, I fucking hate spreadsheets. And I knew then my exact unit cost, exactly how much it costs me. So I know that cost, and then what I'm doing to work out my pricing, I did judge it by eye in it, and then sort of took away that unit cost in total, and then the profit amount. And then I also realistically, this is where cash flow comes in handy as well, which is so boring, and I didn't want to do it when I first started. But realistically, how much of them I'm going to sell in a month? Work out your profit margin, times it by however many units you want to sell. Can I live on that? You know, ask yourself these honest questions of how much do I expect to sell? How much do I expect to make? How much, you know? And that's the way. It's very boring, and I apologise, but I think it's so important to know your unit costs exactly, even though it's the most tedious maths.
And I think, like you said, Rachel, I think it is very hard to go from that creative mindset. I think if I was running like I can't even think of a normal job. What's a normal job?
Do you want to work in Tesco?
If I was running Tesco.
Oh, you're running Tesco.
I'm not. This is my imagination. I'm not going to be. I'm CEO at least.
A job in Tesco to CEO in 5 seconds.
But if I was opening something along those lines, you've gone into that with a business brain already. We've gone into these things because we like making them. We've gone into these thinking, this is cute. Maybe I should open a business. That'd be silly, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, Exactly. And that's not the way to start a business. But unfortunately, I feel like that's what everyone I know has done.
Absolutely. And I was exactly the same as you. I was just like, I've paid the tenner for this jumper. What would I be happy making on it? A whole ball of yarn costs £3 or something. So, and I'm not using the whole on one jumper. So if I sell it for like 18 quid, I'm happy with £8 profit.
Yeah.
But like you say, you're not taking into account that actually I've got no experience really doing this. It's taken me 2 hours to do one name. Like, literally, I was just absolutely clueless. And to be honest, as well with pricing, I do think you've got to take into account experience. So when I look back on some of them things that I made back at that time, I couldn't have charged what I charge now because no one would have paid that for what I was making back then. Literally. Yeah, they weren't very pretty back then. So apologies to anyone who bought from me back in the early days.
Again, though, you're not the only person we've had on that said that as well. But I feel like in a way with pricing, it almost has to be trial and error.
Yeah.
Like it really does. Like you have to fuck up a few times to go, oh no, I'm not doing that because I was out of pocket then. I don't want to be out of pocket again.
Yeah. No, you do.
You have to get burnt sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think everyone we know has been burnt.
Yeah, at some point.
Which is obviously sad. But when that happens, you're not on your own, basically. Everyone's fucked up at some point.
And like I say, you need it to learn from it as well. Like I used to with commissions, I now charge a 30% deposit. So it's an agreement basically. You know, it's the same as, you know, a lot of hotels do it, don't they? You pay a deposit at the very least. Some get paid in full. I only ask for the deposit. I've had to do that because I've been burnt before. That's the only reason I started doing that. It wasn't a case of, oh, this would be sensible, Ellie, do this. I got fucked over, so I had to add it on.
But that's the thing, it's the whole business thing is a learning curve, isn't it? You don't know until you get fucked over, basically, with so many things, not just pricing.
And I've been in that position before. I take full payment up front now. And I used to send pictures as well once it was done. But then they'd change their mind on what they wanted and things like that. So now I don't even send the pictures anymore because I'm just like, this is what you asked for, this is what I'm going to send you. And I take full payment up front because I've been burnt and made jumpers for people where they've then ghosted me. So now I've got this jumper. I mean, I used to use them for like display at markets and stuff, but you still put your time and your effort into it, haven't you? So
personalised as well,
that's the
isn't
thing
it?
when it says like Baby Freddy. How often does Freddy come
the
on?
most common fucking name.
To be fair.
in a 3 to 6 months though.
You know what I mean.
Imagine if someone went, we'll name the kid Freddie because this lady's got a jumper that's discounted.
It's a sign.
But yeah, it is so boring sort of working out your costs. But if there's any if there is one tip that I'd have as well, and this is very much sort of if you can, I would say any packaging materials that you can buy. So for example, whether it be envelopes, you know, if it's bubble wrap, if you're selling fragile items, postage bags, things like that, bulk buy because you'll save on that unit cost as well. And it all adds up at the end of the day. So even if you're only saving a few pence, that will stack up.
Yeah, no, it does that. Like
and
those pennies.
don't get into the mentality either of I can have a cheaper price because I'm saving money on that. No, you just have more profit and that's no bad thing. No. You're not greedy. No. You're making a living.
Doing a business?
Yeah.
No, I agree.
You're a clever ducky.
Yeah. So should we talk about why it's important to know what your profit margins are?
Well, I think it's the most obvious thing in the world. But it is.
For some people, it's not. For me, it wasn't when I started. I never had profit margin, didn't know what it was.
I was the same. I was completely clueless. I was just still sewing jumpers.
Yeah, like
making them look pretty and happy with £6 profit.
It's cute, isn't it?
I do think it is the most important part of running a small business. But I think, again, this is because I've come from a background of watching somebody run their own business and something that is much more bigger and high pressure than, you know, my dad ran a care agency, a medium-sized care agency, and, you know, that was intense at times, especially towards the end. But I think if you're a newbie who's been listening to this, if you're going to take away one thing from this episode, it's one, to make sure that you have a profit margin, and two, that it's a healthy profit margin. Now, I use the word healthy because that can mean different things to different people, but it would be impossible, I think, to define a healthy profit margin because we all do different things. Everybody's unit costs are different. It takes people different times. We all make different items, and every business and person is unique as well.
Yes.
So you can't really compare, but I do think it's the difference basically to whether you're running a business or a charity.
Yeah, that's how you need to think of it. What are you running?
Are you making money or are you just busy?
Exactly. Yeah. And okay, don't get me wrong, I think when you're starting out, that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm not saying, oh, I was an idiot, I did it completely wrong when I started. I think that was fine for me then, but it's not now.
Yeah,
and that's
totally.
okay. That's okay to admit that you've changed, you've grown, your business has changed, your business has grown, and now I need this to make money. So yeah, I do think profit margins are super important. You need to know how much you earn on each product, because basically that's the foundation of your business, isn't it? You know, but beyond that, knowing your profit margins will help you understand which of your products are the real like big ticket items. So like at a market, say I sell a handbag that's £12, or I sell 12 badges that are £1 each. Even though that handbag looks like it's a big ticket item, actually I've made more profit on those 12 badges.
Okay, that's
Do you know what I mean?
interesting.
So I've walked away with more money from selling those tiny little badges than I have from one of the big things.
Yeah.
And I think knowing your profit margin helps you. Like at a market now, I know I need to push that more than I need to push that. Do you know what I mean?
Push the badges more than the handbag.
Push the badges more than the handbag.
Because you know
That's
they're
mad,
more
that.
likely to sell.
Yeah.
That seems crazy to me, because for me, I'll be honest, the higher the cost of my items, the higher the profit margin. But again, that's the same thing though, isn't it? Every business, every person, different products. It's, you know, it depends entirely on who you are and what
But
you're
that's
doing.
why I think on a whole, profit margin is more important than pricing.
Yeah.
It helps as well with like, if I wanted to like run a sale, I know that I make 50p on every one of them, say. So I know I can't go lower than that for my sale, or I'm not making a profit, that kind of thing. So your profit margins are really important to just have kind of in your head. I'm not saying like memorize them, but
I have them all written
make
down
note of it
somewhere.
somewhere,
And then
yeah.
I think it's important as well to go back to it as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to touch on this too much just yet, but with inflation and things, and
Yes.
obviously costs changing all the time,
Yes.
it's important always to revisit that and see if anything's changed, which likelihood it probably has. Even down to, you know, you need something straight away, but that particular supplier that you normally use is sold out. You know, you might have to go somewhere a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
It's worth knowing that in advance so that you can account for that as well. Saying that you can't change your prices every 5 minutes because it looks unprofessional.
But I think, like you said before, you sell your prints for a different price at markets than you do on Etsy.
Yes.
But because you know your profit margins, you know, like, if I'm applying for a market, this is the most I can spend on a store fee, because otherwise I won't be making a profit.
Yeah.
Because you know your profit margins.
Yeah, I have a roundabout figure in my head of where I'd be maxed out, or have to think very hardly with a market.
And you also know things like, oh, if Etsy puts their fees up by this much, I need to reassess my prices.
I'd need to go up again, That's
like
a lot
that.
more handy than when I started, actually, because when I started, there wasn't really Etsy fee calculators or anything like that. At least I didn't see any, whereas I know that they're quite readily available now, so it's quite easy to go back to that.
Yeah. I think it's also more talked about now as well. Like when I started, Etsy was just like, it was the place to be, and nobody had anything bad to say about it. And I'm not saying it's shit, and I'm not saying everybody slags it off, but I think people are a bit more honest now generally about what they're paying for things.
And everything that comes with it.
Yeah.
We found it very divided, haven't we? We've seen lots of applications don't sell online at all. We've seen lots of people that just sell through a website or through DMs. And then I wouldn't say the majority promote their Etsy by any means, would you?
No.
Through the applications? No.
Because with Etsy, don't you have to, isn't that sort of like algorithm type thing as well for how high your listings show?
Visibility is what they call it. But like, if you don't have more than 3 photos of each product, if you're not shipping your orders quick enough, if you're not replying to messages quick enough, all that kind of stuff, same as Instagram, it lowers your who's going to see you.
Again, that's more time, isn't it? Photographing products and stuff, and then having to upload to Etsy. And
it's shit. It's shit.
I think it depends though, because some people swear by Etsy as well, because, you know, I think they've got a routine with it almost. They know that they need to update it regularly, list new things. They know how to appease it, if you like. But it does take a lot of effort.
Yeah.
No, but especially with things like postage increase, because while we all have a bitch and a moan, I know I certainly do at least twice a day. I don't even sell that much online. I'm just fuming about it. But when that goes up, it's so frustrating, and it's so easy to panic and go, God, I'm going to have to increase the prices of this. I'm going to have to increase the price of that. But it affects us all.
Everyone,
and nobody likes paying for P&P. Not one person.
No.
We're all a bit like, if we can get it free, we'll order more. If £60 and you get free shipping, we're like, order 60 quid and then I'll send the other thing back.
Well, I did do a webinar once where it said, you know, if especially on Etsy, if you're shopping on Etsy and you're buying lots of things from lots of different shops, say if you're just adding things to cart as you do, and then you look at the checkout and you go, oh, that's a little bit pricey, they are way more likely to take out the one that's added on a postage charge.
Even if that's a cheaper product. But yeah, like I mentioned before, with the profit margins helping you with sales and things, it also helps, like, so at a market, I've mentioned this in a previous episode, but at a market I will do like a deal on like badges and stickers and things like that, like buy 2 get 1 free, that kind of thing. And I don't do that online, but I think I can do that easily because I know my profit margin will allow for that. And I know what I can afford to do without fucking myself over, basically.
Yeah, I'm the same. I will only do offers and discounts at a market. One, because I know I sell better there, so it's a bigger incentive because I'll meet more people at a market. You know, I can get more customers at a market than I can from like a month, 2 months on Etsy. I know I've been very honest about that before, and that is the truth. Now, I will say that I don't do sales online hardly at all anymore. I might do the odd one maybe once a year. Not because I'm a tight bitch, but I feel like when businesses have sales quite a lot, it does lose its novelty. So there's a chance that when your items, on the occasion that they are at full price, if your customer has become sort of in tune with you and knows, oh, she'll have a sale soon, they'll just wait for your next sale, and then you're in a position where you have to constantly have a sale to keep going. And of course, that's a massive chunk at your profit margin. Again, that adds up as well. So I think doing sales for special occasions, maybe periods that you know are a little bit quiet, or if you've got excess stock that you are trying to get rid of, then it's a good idea. But I think to do it constantly, no good.
No, I agree. So I don't know if you found this, Rachel, but when I started my website, I really was like, shit, how am I going to get people to go to my website? And I felt like I had to do sales a lot because I was like, how else am I going to entice them? And I ended up losing so much money because I was just like, oh, I've got 20% off today. Who wants to go and look at my website?
So the money that you wanted to save by coming off Etsy,
yeah, exactly.
You had to spend on sales,
Exactly. Yeah.
I've kind of tailored mine to timing. So as much as I whinged about Shopify earlier, it's really good at reporting.
Okay.
So it'll show me like how much I've made per month, how many visitors have been to the website per month. So it's dead useful like that. So obviously, as you know, I sell jumpers, cardigans, like knitwear is the main selling thing for me. So my sales in summer, obviously, as you can imagine, plummet then. So that'll be the time I'll put sales like 10% here, 15% there, just to keep me ticking over through those summer months. Yeah. But I'll just do it to keep going over those months when I can see from the website reporting that's when usually my sales do.
Yeah.
I sound dead clever, don't
you
I?
Do.
No, do you know what? That's what I mean though. Having a sale, I think there needs to be some sort of purpose behind it.
Yeah.
I've seen sales before where you have to use the code so and so is skint, and I do think that's funny and it's a good way to get traction on social media. But like you saying, have a sale in summer because you know your sales are going to dip. That's just smart.
Yeah, no, that is clever. Well done.
Because whereas and people just don't want to buy fucking jumpers, do you?
Exactly.
So.
I mean, we've just had 30 degrees the other day, didn't we? Who's buying a jumper in that weather? But yeah, it's just...
No, it does make sense. So, and I fell into that trap in my first year as well, because I remember when I started on Etsy, my first month was really good, and I was like, oh, I've made it. Like, I'm famous. Put my autograph in with every order. No. But then the second month was a bit slow, and I just suddenly panicked out of nowhere and went, right, sale, press the sale button. It was so easy to do on Etsy as well that I was like, oh, I could make a bit of a habit of this. No, why should I? I've just spent however long setting up the business, doing cash flow, working out my profit margins. Why am I doing this to myself? No. And a lot of people will say, well, selling a product at a discounted price is better than no sales at all. Well, but I'm not sure it is in the long run,
not
actually.
Necessarily, no. Like you said, people will get used to it and then they won't buy when it's full price because they'll think, oh, just hang on a bit.
Am I being harsh if I say it's a lazy way to promote your business?
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's lazy. I think it's probably the quickest assumption you go to when you're trying to think, how can I get people to come and buy my shit?
Yeah, and it's hard as well. Like, so when I made that change from it, well, I still am on Etsy, but I don't promote it anyway. I just promote my website now. So I want to push people towards the website. And if I haven't got new things to post about, new set of earrings, go and buy them. If I haven't got anything like that, I'm like, sale then, I guess. Yeah.
It's the easy option, isn't it? Because like I say, with my second month on Etsy, I was like, shit, I'm going to have a sale. Yeah. That was a panic thing. I didn't actually sit and think, oh, what else could I do though to increase the momentum? When in reality, I'd just launched a shop that I'd been teasing for months beforehand. And, you know, you have a huge sort of peak and then it has to dip. It has to. So I shouldn't have panicked, but I was a newbie and I did.
That's okay.
Because I'm a gobshite. I said it.
Thank you for finally admitting it.
Like you said, though, it's all a learning curve, this small bit stuff, innit?
So I think just to summarise with that bit, obviously we can't tell people what their profit margin needs to be because we're going to save this for the Q&A section, but it's not a one-size-fits-all pricing. But I think having a profit margin is non-negotiable. Yeah. I think be honest with yourself with your profit margin. Add it up. Is it sustainable? Yeah. If you're doing this full-time, can that pay my bills? Yeah. Even if you're doing this part-time, is this enough to justify a side hustle? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's important as well. If you are relying on another part-time job, don't think, oh, well, I can undercharge because my bills are paid from my other job. It's not like that at all.
Which is the problem I had when I started.
Yeah, no, it's not fair on those that do this full-time, I think.
Yeah,
we need to work with each other in a way. And that does lead us on nicely to our next section.
Which is feeling confident in your pricing and the importance of not undercharging.
Take it away, Jade.
Feeling confident in your pricing is really important. And I've learned a lot since opening Green Jam, because I think because we sell products from loads of different makers, and every now and then someone so I do still get that, like, oh, why does that cost this much from a customer? But I think it's easier to justify when it's not your own price, when it's not your own product. I've learned from that, and I'm actually like, well, actually a lot of time and effort goes into that, and it probably took them ages, and so much work goes into that, and she's had to train for years and probably done a degree and all this kind of shit. I'm like, actually, say all those things about yourself. Like, prior to opening the shop at a market, if somebody had been like, why is that so expensive? I would just crumble. I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, do you want it for £2?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I know. But that's why you've got to be confident in your pricing. You've got to, not even so that you can justify it, because you don't need to justify it, because fuck them. Why do they need to know why you charge that much? You just do.
No one should ever ask you outright
But
your profit margin.
People are cheeky. I think, I don't know, like I said, like when you're talking about someone else's stuff, it's easy to be like,
it's easier to defend somebody else than it is yourself sometimes.
It's easy to go, it's unique, it's handmade and all that kind of stuff. But when you're talking about yourself, it almost feels like you're bragging.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then it's a bit cringe, isn't it? But it shouldn't be. I think we're just conditioned to that as humans. I think it's hard to kind of be proud of your own work. And I think I often thought like, oh, I can't charge that. Like, I've just made it. It's not worth anything. And it is. It really is. You need to think of it as like, I know it's obviously, it's small business, and we're not claiming to be anything but small businesses. But a big brand like Gucci, for example, nobody's going to them, why does that cost so much? They're not justifying their prices.
Yeah.
No.
They're charging like hundreds of pounds for the pair of pants.
Gucci?
I don't know what Gucci sells.
More than that. It's a bargain.
But do you know what I mean? They're not thinking, oh, do you think that's a bit much? They're just doing it. They're not justifying it to anyone. They're not asking if that's all right.
I was going to bring this up as well about customer perceptions on prices, because like I mentioned to you girls earlier that I'd had that TikTok go viral about, and it was a TikTok trend. It was, what's your favourite horror movie? And I'd put, when you go to a market and you don't make your stall fee. And the actual footage I'd used, I had a really good day. It wasn't true. It was just me jumping in on a trend.
Fucking liar.
Oh my God. I know, I'm bad. Lock me up and throw away the key. But it caused so much shit online.
Oh,
like
really?
literally there was people arguing in the comments with each other. So one person had said something like, £30 is too much for a jumper when you didn't even knit it yourself, you just put the name on.
Oh my God.
Oh, I did see you posting about this on your stories. Yeah.
Exactly. And then there was like other people jumping on going, well, you pay £30 a month to get your hair cut and your nails done, and like their choices and stuff. And then someone else had put, kids grow out of clothes in a month, £30 too much. Then someone else jumped in and was like, not everyone's struggling, you don't have to stick for everyone. And it's just like, it just went insane.
That's madness.
And I was just sat there like, whoa, what's going on here?
I'm going to stay out of it.
It makes you wonder what goes through the head though. When we sit there and we work out our profit margin, we're not sitting there thinking, how can we mug people off?
No, we're thinking, how can I afford to live?
Totally. Yeah. Exactly. And for the likes of the personalised stuff, and obviously it's hand embroidered, it does take time, and it's completely bespoke to you, whatever you want. And no one's forcing you to buy it, babe.
No, exactly. Yeah. If you're one of those people that thinks, kids grow out clothes too quick or whatever you said, don't buy it then.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you going to do? Just not buy your child clothes?
Yeah.
No, you can't have anything because you're going to have a growth spurt any fucking minute.
Wait till you're 16 and then you can get dressed.
But you can't have Primark prices because I'm not Primark.
No, exactly. If you want Primark prices, go to Primark.
Exactly.
But also cheap clothing to me, it's dodgy, innit? If clothes are too cheap online, you think all sorts, don't you? You wonder what conditions have they been made in?
Exactly.
Is the person who made it being paid properly? And the likelihood is the answer to all of that is no. So if they want to support that, fuck them.
It's not ethical. It's not okay.
No.
But things like what you're selling, it's special. It's not something your kid's necessarily going to wear every single day till it's ripping at the seams. Do you know what I mean? It's a special thing, and I imagine a lot of them are gifted.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it's like you said, it's something completely bespoke that you don't see everywhere. You don't see on the shelves in normal shops. shops.
Exactly. And as a mum, I know what that maternity leave money struggle is.
Yeah.
So I do try and keep my price as low as possible.
Yeah.
So for like a simple name jumper, I haven't increased the price in over 12 months. And obviously, as we were talking about earlier, there's inflating costs for everyone. But because I know that struggle, I'm trying to keep that simple. If you just want a jumper or a name, keep that down.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you want flowers and all the rest of it, then there's got to be added costs. But I try and keep those at an absolute minimum because I know the struggle.
You're not going, mums are skint, I'm going to rip them off.
Exactly. Come on, I can't work for free.
Exactly, yeah.
But I think very few people who start their own business do it because they've got loads of money.
No, exactly.
I think we all know what it's like to graft a little bit.
Yeah.
I can say honestly that before I started this business, there was a 2-month period, which isn't very long, I know, but there was a 2-month period where I completely ran out of money.
Oh,
like
okay.
nothing.
Yeah.
Skint on my arse. And I feel like a lot of us have been in that position as well, because
absolutely.
that's what makes you go, I need a side hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
It is
Yeah.
for a lot of us as well. I know we don't do this particularly, the money's nice, but it's not. It's more to satisfy something for us that we are being creative. But I think that's the reason a lot of us do have that motivation to do it, is the extra cash. And I don't think there's any shame in
No,
that.
absolutely not. But like you said, it's not necessarily a lot of extra cash.
No.
Those people that are complaining that your jumpers are too expensive, we're in that situation as well. We can't afford nice things like a lot of the time. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I'm not saying, again, Gucci. I'm not saying, Gucci's too expensive. I'm saying I'm skint.
Yeah.
That's not the same thing.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. You almost feel like replying to them, just tell me you can't afford it.
Yeah.
Like, rather than shit on me.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a you problem. Sorry.
It is a you. I don't get why they can't understand why that is a you problem.
Yeah.
It's a you problem that we've all had at some point,
Yeah.
but it's still a you problem.
Yeah.
And like I said, some people butted in on them comments and were basically saying, look, if you're skint, it doesn't mean everyone else does.
Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah.
actually wrote that and I was like, oh. But we are, we've all been through money problems ourselves, haven't we? And you don't then just comment on somebody's business
Absolutely
saying,
not, no.
because I can't afford your prices, you should lower
You're
them.
shite. Yeah. It's fucking bizarre.
know.
The things people are willing to post on the internet
Yeah.
absolutely never ceases to amaze me.
It's the confidence
It's
to
unreal.
post
Yeah.
those comments.
It's absolutely
And I
unreal.
think that shoots back to why you've got to have those confidence in your prices, so you can be like, what you're saying doesn't bother me because I know what this is worth.
Exactly. That's the thing, like I was saying, you shouldn't have to justify your prices, but when things like that happen, you almost feel, even if you're not verbally doing it, you have to justify it to yourself almost, because you're like, actually, no, I am worth that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck you.
It's a struggle, and it really is a shame for anybody, but I'm sure most people listening to this that have been trading either online or at markets have had somebody scoff at their prices at some point. And if you haven't, maybe have a word with yourself, actually.
Yeah, if you haven't, you're
Too much
undercharging.
the other way.
Because I know I've said this before, a woman under her breath went, £5 for a fucking keyring. And I just thought, just move along.
Yeah, fuck off. You
Just
don't have
move
to
along.
say it.
Honest to
Because
God.
even if you went, go on now, buy it off you, you're not having a friendly interaction with me now.
I'm fuming.
Yeah, be nice, cost nothing.
Yeah.
Just rude.
Yeah.
And also the alternative people whinging on, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is, that, things are too expensive. Well, they're also the same people that kick off when yet another fucking Poundland opens on the high street, aren't they? So
Totally. You can't
you
win.
can't win. Yeah. I will say one thing though, and I feel like I'm not calling anybody out, but I am going to be using examples here. Myself being one, undercharging actually does piss me off. And that's not out. I'm sure some people will think, well, Ellie, you're just insecure. Nope, I'm not. I'll tell you why undercharging pisses me off. Maybe I should be more considerate, because I know that is more likely younger people, perhaps newer people that are more likely to undercharge. Before I started the business, as I've said, I was making money from my drawings for a long time prior to that.
Yeah.
And I believe when I first started selling them, they were £20 for an A4, which is a fucking joke. But I was 13, 14, I was still in school. That was a lot of money.
Yeah.
£20 to me was like fucking ka-ching.
Yeah.
But there does come a point where you have to grow out of that.
Yeah.
I shop small a lot as well, where I can. I have been round places lately, markets, and I did see somebody who, again, was clearly quite young, but selling original paintings for a single figure.
Oh dear.
And I was shocked.
Yeah.
Like, I was actually shocked. But I have also said this story previously on the podcast about how when I did an exhibition in college, we had to price our work. Tutor went round, he wanted to price off everybody. I had this 50 by 50 canvas, so not small particularly, original painting that had took me hours. I didn't like the painting, so I just went 50 quid. So despite the fact that I'd seen him ask everybody else, and everybody else had been well into three figures, like 200, 300 at the minimum, I still had no shame saying 50 quid.
Yeah.
How the fuck do you work that out? I argued the fucking toss out of it with the tutor. I was absolutely determined that painting painting was worth 50 quid. And he snapped at me in the end and he went, you are undervaluing everybody in this exhibition. And I went, it's got fucking shit all to do with them.
It does.
I was undervaluing absolutely everybody. If you charge shit all for your work, nobody wins. You're not making any profit.
Yeah.
You might think, oh, I've just sold, I don't know what it is. I might have just sold the original painting for a £5. Fucking yay.
Yeah.
No.
How long's that took you?
Yeah, how long's that took you? You're not winning. You're after validation and you need to be after money rather than the validation.
You can't chase the sales, you're chasing the profit.
Yeah, you know, the validation is very nice, but that validation only comes, I think, when you are charging proper money for your work.
Yeah. But as a small business, we're already fighting like Primark, Shein, Temu, all that kind of stuff. We don't need to be fighting each other as well. Like,
no.
I'm not saying obviously everybody has to have exactly the same prices.
No, they don't, no.
But charge what it's worth.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. Someone coming up to you and saying your stuff is so cheap, it's not a compliment.
No, it's not.
And, you know, I know from, like I say, going round markets, being at markets, it's very, very rare that I've looked at somebody's stuff on their table and gone, that's really expensive.
Yeah.
I agree.
For the amount of times that I've looked at something and gone, they should be charging more.
Yeah.
Oh, Christ.
No, I don't think I've ever thought that's expensive. I've thought that's out of my price range.
Yeah.
I will always think that's out of my price range. Look how much work's gone into it.
Yeah, that's the right thing to think as well. You know, we can't afford everything we see, can we? No one's, you know, that wealthy that we can just buy what we see all the time. But, you know, if I see something and I think, oh, that's lovely, you know, it's out of my price range, but they should absolutely be charging
but
that.
it's worth that. Yeah.
That's the right attitude to have.
Yeah.
See, with undercharging, I know I said that obviously it pisses me off, and it does with people that I know have been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
With a newbie, I was that person myself.
And it's a learning curve.
Not only was I that person, but I was also the person that then fucking argued it, which makes it slightly worse. No, I absolutely am right. I'm in the right here without even, you know, just a complete gobshite. So, you know, I can't be too annoyed because I am doing it. But when I see people that have been doing it for a long time, I sort of think,
doing it.
Yeah, I sort of think, oh, come on. And, you know, claim to be competitive prices and all this, you know.
I don't get how they can sustain those low prices because...
Money laundering.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of.
I mean, you risk yourself of resenting your own business when you do that, I think.
Because you're working for nothing.
Exactly. And you're not getting the plus side that comes with having your own business. If you want to work for nothing, then like we said earlier, it's a hobby, then it's not a business,
go
isn't
volunteer somewhere.
Exactly.
And it's all well and good us sitting here as well saying boost your prices, but to touch on confidence as well in your prices, much easier online when you can't see their reaction.
Yes.
So, for example, I'm sat at home doing whatever. Somebody else, for all I know, could be looking at my Etsy listing and go, fucking 18 quid, you haven't laughed.
Someone could do that right now.
I'd never know. Someone could be doing it right now. Probably not, because my Etsy gets about 2 views a month, but the odds are against it. But you never know. But I wouldn't know. Whereas if you're at a market, you do find yourself sort of watching how your customers react to your products, which is only natural. And I think it's smart to do that in a way.
But even if they're not those awful people that are like, oh, why is this expensive? Even if they just pick it up and put it down, you think,
Was it the price?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, and I get that your mind would go there, but I think once you do enough markets, you get to the point where you know that people are just window shopping a lot of the time, and I know this because I do that a lot, you know. I mean, I won't buy from every stall I see because I can't, you know, but I'd like to, but I can't. But I think if you're selling your products yourself, it's so important when, say, if they bought a few things, have your prices clearly listed, as we talked about in the last episode as well, so that you don't have to go through that awkwardness, especially if you know, not that it should be awkward, but just in case it is, because it can be, and I get it. But also when you give them that total, say it loud, say it proud, no mumbling, no stuttering, just say it. So I was lucky to have a lot of help when I started the business, which I'll be talking about in the next episode, I think. Ooh. But I did have a lot of help. I had a lot of people there to advise me, which was very useful. But also, I don't mind saying actually that when I started the business, my prices were much higher than they are now.
Okay.
So after saying all that about undercharging now, my prices were a lot higher. And there was a reason for that as well. I do apologise to anybody who bought off me in that first year. But
you can't have a refund.
I have slowly dropped the prices of the more expensive items after. Sorry, it was the more expensive stuff that I way whacked up in price because, to be honest, I sort of thought I'll just try my luck.
Yeah, okay,
But also I didn't drop them too much because I knew I was told to expect things like inflation, things like postage price increases. I will admit I underestimated just how frequently things would go up and by how much as well. We were expecting some sort of fallout from COVID, but then the whole Russia thing and cost of living and, you know, the government at the time never really giving a definite answer to what had caused that and how were they going to bring it down. But for example, when I started my business, I can tell you now because I've looked it up, a first class stamp was 76 pence and now it's £1.70.
That is quite a big increase, actually.
No, it is. It's 94 pence over 5 years. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot over 5 years, but for me smaller priced items, such as my greeting cards and my postcard prints, that's massive.
Yeah,
if I'm only charging £3.50, £4 for them, that's a huge chunk of profit.
Yeah.
So these are the things. This is why it's important to have your unit costs as well. You need to know how much that item is costing you, both for the item itself, for the packaging, for the postage, and keep an eye on how much these prices are going off because you need to adjust.
Yeah.
It's like a seesaw that you constantly have to balance. Nothing's ever, it's not going to stay that price ever. So it's always going to fluctuate.
Yeah.
And your prices, sadly, are going to have to fluctuate with it.
But again, you don't want to be constantly changing your prices because then it's messy, isn't it? So if you can account for that a little bit already and then it's not as, oh, look at her changing her prices again.
That's true. That if I was to add postage on now, say for me greeting cards, if I was to add the postage on as a separate charge on Etsy, would I do it as the price of a first class stamp? Because it's going to fucking go up in 3 months' time, isn't it? So I'm not doing it.
Yeah, no, you're right. But yeah, like you said, it's just, you can't absorb the costs forever, can you? Because it's not sustainable. And then you're basically paying to run your own business, and it's not a thing. It's just not. And yeah, sometimes it means gradually adjusting your prices. Sometimes it might mean tweaking your product range a little bit, like not relying on the things that are getting too expensive anymore.
Yeah, knowing what to push, like you said,
Or changing suppliers of things, like...
I've had to do that,
There's lots of ways around it, but it is frustrating.
And as frustrating as that is as well, we are all in the same boat. This is something that affects us all, like affects different industries in different ways. But imagine if none of us reacted accordingly, we'd all be losing so much money. Yeah. And small businesses as a whole would fail. So all those shops that we're all stocked in, you know, all the shops that we might have ourselves, they too would collectively fail. We need to think of ourselves as a big team.
Yeah, we are, yes.
We owe it to each other to do that as well. Do. And no business owner, you know, no one enjoys being told that their products are too expensive. And like I say, you can't cater for everybody.
No, and that's fine. That's fine.
Again,
like
that's
you were saying
why...
before, like people will think you're too expensive. It's not too expensive, it's just out of their price range, and that's okay.
Yeah, they're just not your customer.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
And like I say, if someone did and ah over my products while I was there and went, oh, I don't know, it's really expensive, and then suddenly decided they were going to take the plunge and just buy it anyway.
Yeah, that's then unpleasant, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an unpleasant interaction. It's an unpleasant sale, to be honest.
Yeah, whereas, you know, I don't want to sell to you anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I almost don't want your fucking money. Yeah, I'd never be like that, of course, because business is business, and you know you can't be a bitch as much as you want to be. But you know, you can't cater for everybody, and I think a lot of businesses try to cater for everybody as well. There's no harm in being niche and having a target market.
No,
there really isn't, and that is why I don't like terms that people use like affordable and cheap, because that is subjective for every individual person. Right. It's not something I think you should or even can claim to be.
No, it's not something you should be aiming for either.
No.
You shouldn't be working towards being affordable. Work towards being able to afford your own life.
It's nice to have a range of products at different prices if you can do that. If you can't, then you can't.
That's fine, But in reality, every business, like even huge companies, have to adjust the prices accordingly. Like supermarkets do it, cafes do it, clothing brands do it. So as a small business owner, like we should be doing it too, and we shouldn't have to feel guilty for that.
Look at the price of a Happy Meal.
Exactly.
That has gone up.
It was like 99p when I was a kid.
Yeah, it's about 4 or 5 quid now. It's a rip off.
Yeah, it was a bargain in the 90s.
Too expensive. I'm not their customer.
No, I'm not. Out of my price range.
Is it bad that I still get Happy Meals sometimes after work?
I don't know if I can afford it, Ellie.
It make me happy.
That's fair. No, that's fair.
Worth every penny.
Yes. You can't put a price on happiness.
If it was fucking 99p still, it'd be the fucking ecstatic meal.
I will.
You know what that noise means, Ellie?
I do, but does Rachel?
Rachel, do you know what that noise means?
It's Q&A time.
Oh!
10 out of 10, you can have my job now.
You can come again.
The guest on the next episode is me.
So this is just a little segment of the podcast where we answer a few questions from our gorgeous listeners. Today we've got 2 questions.
Why'd you say that? We always have 2 questions.
I said it the first time because I was like, I don't know how many questions we're going to have each episode, but then we've always done 2, and now I feel like I can't not say it because I've just always said it.
All right, do you want to just leave it to 2 then? You
Today,
I'm not here to change your routine, Jade.
Sure you are. Today, as usual, we've got 2 questions.
Much better.
Thank you.
So, Crafty Paint Pot asked, have you found a pricing formula you work by? Now, I've got thoughts on this, but I'm going to let you 2 go first.
I'm shaking my head aggressively.
I know that doesn't really work on a podcast. Jade. You can sit there and shake all you want and cause a draft. They can't hear you.
No. No is the answer. I kind of tried to do, like I said before, cost times 2 equals price. And then I tried to do cost plus time times 2 equals price. But now I Googled it for this episode, and apparently you're meant to be doing cost plus time times 3 equals price. And I don't know. There's too much. I don't know. I don't know what the truth is.
It's not so much a formula for me. I kind of try, like I mentioned, there's quite a few other embroidery artists on Instagram. I try and place myself somewhere between the highest and the lowest.
Yeah.
Again, it's going back to, I think it's a bit like self-worth and looking and thinking, what would I pay for that?
Yeah.
What's affordable to the mums who I'm trying to entice to buy my products? But it's not a formula. It's more of a bit of guesswork, a bit of simple maths with the product cost. I can't charge for time because embroidery takes absolutely ages. And I think if sometimes I've charged for how many hours it would take with minimum wage, no one's going to pay that for that.
That is a big problem. I used to share my studio with an embroidery artist, and she used to make these gorgeous denim jackets.
Yeah.
And I used to say to her, before I really did this, I used to go, why don't you sell them? And she said, because I'd have to charge $3,000.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
That is a tough industry, embroidery, I will say that.
Yeah.
But I don't think there should ever be a formula, because a formula implies that it's a one size fits all.
Yeah.
And it's not. As I've said through this episode, we all do different things. We're all in different positions financially with what we do, our business itself, the growth, the experience. You know, everybody is unique. A formula puts us all in one group.
Yeah.
And that's not applicable at all.
No.
It might be applicable to a few people.
Yeah.
But I think when you go Googling, what should I charge for my work? Yes, you probably will find a formula. Does it mean it's right for you?
No, not necessarily.
No.
And I think even if you find one that you think this will work for my business, it doesn't necessarily work for every product either.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
There has to be, I think, when you're pricing your work and you've got a range of different products, there has to be a uniformity. And again, that can take a while. But do you know what? That can even be sometimes asking other people.
Yeah.
If you've got a roundabout figure in your head, if you've got someone that you know will be completely honest with you, because of course this is a question that nobody likes being asked, you know, how much would you pay for this? I've made it. You know, it can be an awkward question, but I think it is so important to be honest.
No, it is. And do you research? And I'm not talking about Googling how much should I charge for this or asking ChatGPT even. You know what I mean? I'm saying, like, look out there what other people are selling some of the things for, because you don't want to be widely either end of the spectrum.
No.
Like you said, Rachel, you want to be somewhere on that scale. And I understand that completely. And I think sometimes that will mean, you know, you're not charging for your time. And maybe obviously you would like to be able to do that. But if that's not sustainable right now, that's not sustainable right now. And that's okay. I think it's individual to the person. It's individual to the business. It's individual to the product. All that stuff's got to be taken into account.
Yeah.
And I know that the easy answer was for me to go, yeah, of course, there's a formula. It's this. Here's the maths. And then everybody knows. But unfortunately, it's not.
That would make it really simple, though, wouldn't it? And everybody would just do it, and we'd never had any discussion about it or any self-doubt, because we'd all just use the same formula.
Exactly.
Yeah. If I was to give any advice, I would say start high, because I did that. And do you know what? It worked, because it was far easier to decrease my products a year down the line than it was to increase them.
Yeah, because I'm lowering my prices. That's a treat, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm really glad I did that. I don't, you know, there's things that I did in that first year that I think, Ellie, what the fuck were you doing? But there's some things that I think I did right. And I think starting high and dropping gradually, not a huge drop, but certainly just a gradual sort of dip was, pat on the back for me.
Well done. Well done, Ellie.
Apologies to anyone who bought off me in that first year. So the second question, we're only going to touch on this briefly because it wasn't really a question, it was just a comment, but it's a very good point actually. But we want to do a whole episode on this, but for the time being, we just want to sort of give a feeler for what we do now. So Handmade Knots, which is a shop in Nottingham.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Physical, gorgeous physical shop.
I really want to go there. So Handmade Knots said, pricing for wholesale. I meet so many makers that are overwhelmed by the thought of wholesale, so don't do it when it's not actually as big and scary as they think it might be. Or makers that don't have the right pricing set up to be desirable to shops and so don't get the sales that they expect. post. I'm always trying to share how I, as a retailer, source, buy and stock to make it a bit less scary and unknown.
Okay.
It's a good point, isn't it?
It is, yes. So like Ali said, we're going to do a whole episode on wholesale pricing, all that kind of stuff. But to briefly sum it up, I would say, rule of thumb, I think most people do their wholesale price is roughly 50% of what they would normally charge.
Okay, that's interesting.
By interesting, do you mean wrong?
I don't do it that way.
See, I don't know. Someone's told me this at some point. Someone else has told me that at some point, so that must be right.
Yeah.
I haven't done any research into it. I don't know.
Well, again, it's with that research as well. Just because Google's telling you that's the way that works doesn't mean it's the way it works for you.
Yeah.
They don't know your profit margins.
Exactly. But again, that's why it's so important that your profit margins are right.
That you know your profit margins, and you can't possibly even consider doing a wholesale order if you don't know that profit margin. So for me, the first wholesale order that I got came completely out the blue. I don't advertise for wholesale orders. It was at a market. Somebody came up to me that bought a few things off me from the day and said, do you mind if I try and sell these in my shop? And I said, oh, like a little trial basis. And she said, yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. And then if it goes well, I'll place an order with you.
Yeah, that's exciting.
And I was there nodding my head thinking, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with wholesale. Why am I nodding along to this? Like, yeah.
Yeah, sure, no problem. I do shit
Never
like that
done
all
one
the
in my life.
time.
And anyway, I thought, do you know what? Chances are, what it's like, I might not hear anything back from this. A week later, she messages me, everything I bought from you sold in the shop. I'd love to place an order. Can you send me your wholesale list?
No problem.
And do you know what, though? At that market, because I'd nodded along and been like, yeah, I know what I'm doing, I went over to another stall just to rant, really.
Yeah.
I just said, oh, God, someone's just come up to me and said about wholesale. I've never done wholesale in my life. And I'm just nodding along. And I just happened to speak to the right person at the right time.
amazing.
Because I'll tell you who it was, I'll shout her out, it was just Blissfully Beth that I was ranting away to.
Yeah.
Don't even know her that well, but that didn't stop me. But she had done wholesale orders, so she just started giving me tips right on the spot. And it was so useful. And I thought, God, just ranting off to the right person at the right time is just proved to be so helpful.
That shows how important the small biz community is.
Definitely.
Yeah. So she was super helpful. I hope she doesn't think that I was trying to get tips out of her. I had no idea that she was well up on that
So
at
Beth,
all.
I've heard you do wholesale.
Yeah, it wasn't like that at all. I think I just sort of went, you're close to me, I'm going to rant to you. But no, she was dead useful. So that first wholesale order, I'll be honest, I knocked a third off.
Okay.
My market prices, not my online prices. So it probably would be near a half in comparison to my online prices, actually. But I know that worked for me because I know my profit margins.
Yes.
So that was 100% worth doing for me. And that was a win. That was definitely a win. I was very proud of myself for sealing it, for getting it out the way. You are obviously saving on postage costs as well. It's far cheaper to send 100 prints out to one person than it is to send 100 prints to 100 different addresses.
Yes, exactly.
So there's pros and cons with wholesale, of course. It's not for everybody. But yeah, we can only explain how we would approach it at the moment. But as I say, we do want to do a whole episode on this with somebody who is more experienced on wholesale, actually.
Yes. Yeah, so like I said, my wholesale experience has kind of come from almost word of mouth, similar to yours, I guess.
Yeah.
But when I first started doing wholesale, I was just like, I think you just meant to cover the cost of the item plus a tiny bit. So I was just like,
oh, Jane.
I know. I was like, oh, it's cost me 50p, so I'll add like 10p on and that'll be fine. And
Oh,
I know I was doing
jeez.
like, so my very first wholesale order was for like £300 worth of stuff, and I probably made about 30 quid
Oh,
on
that's
that whole
terrible.
thing.
Yeah, you would have by them margins, yeah.
Yeah. So don't do what I did.
That's why it's so important to know your margins.
Yes, no, it is. It really is. And again, talk to other people about it, because chances are you will know somebody that you've met at a market that you've bought from on Etsy that already does what you want to do, and they'll know how to do the big scary thing. And they, 9 times out of 10, people are happy to share experiences, aren't they?
You might get the odd gatekeeper, but who fucking cares?
Yeah, move
and
on.
like I say, by me, that was just completely incidental as well.
Yeah.
So be a mouth. I just went over to somebody and said, oh God, some woman just spoke to me about wholesale pricing. And I pretended I knew what I was saying, but I didn't know what I was saying. And she was like, let me help you. But that is not the reason I went over to her.
Yeah,
I
all right.
very much appreciated it. But yeah,
Aw.
talk to people, definitely.
Yeah.
Don't do what I did and don't go into it nodding your head when you
Yeah.
actually haven't got a fucking clue what you're doing.
I think that's what we all do with everything, though, isn't it?
Winging it.
Yeah, yeah, oh, constantly.
But you know what, though? Even if that first wholesale order, maybe I had have fucked it a little bit.
Yeah.
I'd have learnt from that.
No,
I'd have
exactly,
known
exactly,
I'd fucked it. So,
Yeah.
there's always room for improvement as well. So if you do get it wrong, don't beat yourself
That's
up.
okay.
There's time to correct that. But do make sure you learn from that.
Yeah.
Like you, Jade, you wouldn't do that again.
No, absolutely not. But even like that wholesale order, that very first one where I made nothing, they've ordered from me again, and I had to be like, I'm really sorry I priced things wrong, or I've had to change my prices, that kind
That's
of thing.
good that you did that.
And
though.
that's okay. Like, they understand, because they're potentially people that are ordering wholesale from you are also small businesses.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So people get it. People understand. Not everything's as big and scary as you think it is.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much all we've got time for today. But you can join us in 2 weeks. What are we talking about in 2 weeks, Sally?
Oh, so we have got another guest, which is very exciting. We won't reveal their identity just yet, but we are taking it right back to the start.
Dun, dun, dun.
Because there's no fucking balance with this podcast at all. No.
We're all over the fucking
We
place,
just
aren't we?
do what we want when we feel like it. So we're going back to the start.
Yeah,
If you
and that's
don't
the
like
joy
it,
of-
fuck off.
That's the joy of running your own business. So join us in 2 weeks. In the meantime, you can give us a follow on Instagram. You can find us at Really Fucking Trying. And don't forget, we've got loads of things in our bio, loads of links where you can buy us a coffee, you can write into us with your questions, you can apply to be a guest. And I'm sure Rachel will confirm it's very fun.
Absolutely. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
No, really, thank you so much for joining us today. I've had a really
Thank you for
nice
having me.
time.
Yeah, it's been lovely, that
Yeah,
one.
it has, yeah. So we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.